Welcome back to the Compressor Guru. Over the last 2 years, the camera wife has learned so much that we've decided it's time for her to show off some of the things she's learned. Today, the camera wife is going to share with you 5 tips to help make your compressor run better, longer, and more trouble-free. Now here's the camera wife.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Compressor Guru. Now, I've worked hard over the last 2 years to not be on the camera. I didn't want to be on the camera. Compressors are not really my thing. Actually, we were married a good number of years before I really knew what the Compressor Guru did for a living. All I knew is he services and sells air compressors. I didn't know there was any more than that till now, but there is. And over the last 2 years, I've learned lots of things. So I'm going to share with you 5 tips to try to make your air compressor last longer and run more smoothly. The first tip is to drain your tank daily. Now, you can either do that by, at the end of the workday, you can open the valve and let it drain overnight. Or when you come in the morning, you just drain the water off in the morning. This means that the water had condensated, much of it, in the bottom of the tank, and when you open it, it's going to just push that out with a little bit of air pressure, and then you're going to be ready to go for the day. Just turn on your compressor and you're ready to go. So why, you may ask, should I drain it daily?
That's a great question. Why do you drain it daily?
Because the Compressor Guru said so. No, I think there's more to it than that.
Yeah, if you take a look in the description, I put a link to this video may save your life, and it's about tank safety. If tanks aren't maintained, they may explode.
Well, we certainly don't want that, because we want our stuff to run smoothly, and we're very cost-effective people, especially in this economy. So these are things you can do that will save you money in the long run too. Item 2, service your compressor regularly. Change your intake filter.
What are those in front of you?
I'm guessing these are intake filters. These are intake filters. These are filters for your compressor. Now, don't just take them out and blow them out with your air tool, blowgun air tool, you know, that thing. You actually need to get another filter. And don't just run down to the store and buy one from the auto parts store. You need to get it from a compressor dealer, because it's a different filter. Even though it might kind of look the same, or say it's the same size when you get it from the local auto parts store, it's probably for a lawnmower. And these machines are a lot different than a lawnmower. There's specific things inside the filter designed to keep your machine running smoothly.
You mean the filter media may be finer to protect it better?
I think that might be what I meant. I think that might be what I meant. You heard the Compressor Guru. I'm just here to make him sound better, right? Because I know you all know this stuff.
And she does.
Because a dirty filter in your air compressor is really going to hurt its performance.
You know why?
Can't breathe.
That's right.
Got to be able to breathe.
Yeah.
Good clean air.
Just like keeping the air filter in your car clean so you get better gas mileage, if the filter is dirty, it's going to restrict the amount of airflow going into the compressor and damage the performance, not to mention damage the compressor.
I was just going to say that.
I'm sorry for interrupting you.
So, that was drain the tank daily and service your compressor, change that intake filter.
What if it's a dirty environment?
Oh, well, that goes without saying. So you always change.
Well, we didn't say.
You always change the intake filter when you change the oil. But if you're in a really dirty environment like a sawmill or an auto body shop or, well,
A cabinet shop.
a cabinet shop, you know if it's you. You get lots of extra dust, like at the sawmill. It's important that you do this often, that you change the intake filter. Item number 3, you want to keep your air compressor as clean as you possibly can. Now, you know I said don't take the air gun and blow out the filters. You shouldn't. You need a new filter. But on the outside of the tank, take the air gun and blow off that sawdust or whatever is on there. Not only is it making it look better, it's going to help it run better. So even though you're just blowing off the outside of the tank, you want to make sure that you go to the inner and the after coolers, get the dust out of there too, the magnetic starter, the pressure thing. Switch, that's it. The box, the switcher, whatever, you know. Get that cleaned off too, but you want to keep it clean.
I got a story about a magnetic starter and dust.
This is my episode.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead,
Okay.
please.
I was called out to a sawmill for a compressor that wouldn't start, and we determined it to be electric, and I pulled the cover off the magnetic starter. Now, at this sawmill, they were the Amish. I'm not really worried about my Amish viewership here because they don't really watch this. So they do some strange things. They mounted the compressor right beside, almost underneath the debarker. Now the debarker's got this giant rotating aggressive toothed head that takes all the bark and dust and extra debris off the log before it goes into the mill. So what goes into the mill is the bare log, and at the debarker's laying all this dust and everything that came off with the bark. I opened up the starter, and the starter was packed full of dust, sawdust, and little pieces of bark. It was so packed full, the contactor couldn't move. It's amazing they didn't burn it down. I cleaned the contactor out, we got the air going, I blew it out, and I told them to move the compressor. Yes, actually take the cover off the contactor, take the cover off the pressure switch. You're in those dusty environments, blow them out. That's actually something we do on our
service calls.
On our service calls and yearly maintenance. We actually do make sure the interior of those electrical components are clean.
And that's how I knew what this thing was too.
What's that?
It covers up the filters.
Yeah, that's filter housing. Little plug for thecompressorguru.com. We have filter housings for 1 inch now. They were pretty tough to get, the supply chain problems. We're outrunning the supply chain problems by putting more inventory on stock, and we do have 1 inch filter housings in case you need them.
Good to know. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
So, keep that machine as clean as possible. Keeping it clean keeps the heat down, and heat is the enemy of your air compressor. Step number 4, or item number 4, change your oil regularly. Now, I know the compressor guru is very knowledgeable about all of these things, and he keeps everything right up here in his head, but the camera wife has her notes in front of her, even though we tried to hide them with these filters, which I'm sure isn't working. But I have a couple things to tell you about your oil. If you're using dinosaur oil, I didn't know what that was, but it's regular old oil, petroleum oil, then you need to change it every 500 hours or 3 months. If you're using synthetic oil, you should change it every 2,000 hours or once a year. Now, even if you don't run that compressor 2,000 hours, you still need to make sure you change it at least once a year. It is possible for air compressors that have light duty to condensate water in the oil, which is a bad thing. So change that oil, synthetic at least once a year. Regular old petroleum oil every 3 months. So what kind of oil should you use, you may ask? I'm going to tell you. So if you use dinosaur oil, make sure it is compressor specific oil. In a pinch, you can use non-detergent motor oil.
Why non-detergent?
Because that's what the paper says.
In a pinch, if you have a splash lube compressor, you can use non-detergent oil, but never use detergent oil in a splash lube compressor. The oil will foam and begin to cling to the cylinder walls, and the oil will start to bypass the rings, and you'll end up oil in your system. Never use detergent motor oil in your splash lube compressor.
So I didn't know what a splash lube compressor was, and I really still don't, but you understand because you are a follower of the Compressor Guru, and we appreciate you. So the vast majority of our customers use synthetic oil, synthetic compressor oil in their air compressors. And we use Amsoil.
We are not sponsored by Amsoil. We are an Amsoil dealer and we're proud of it. They have a very, very good product.
So we sell a lot of Amsoil, and Amsoil is very good. The Compressor Guru has been telling you that. It may even be less expensive than things like T30 Select. It is expensive, but it is worth every penny of it. It's a little less expensive than some of those compressor oils. But make sure you're using a good quality synthetic compressor oil. It is much cheaper to buy oil and change it than to replace the iron that's running everything. So let me just throw this in there. In a recent episode, we worked on a Quincy QT 7.5 air compressor. And because the owner of that compressor did not change the oil, the $22 in oil it would have cost him to change the oil cost him $1,700 because he ruined the machine. It's worth its weight. The fifth thing is keep your belt tight. When you are changing the oil and things, make it a habit to take a thin screwdriver and put it in through the cage that's around the belt.
You mean the belt guard?
That's it, the cage that's around the belt. The belt guard. Put it around the belt guard, stick it in there, and check the tension on your belt. Now, it should be about the same as what it is on the belts on your car, right?
Right.
Okay, so, wow, he had something right this time. And I didn't even look. How about it? But you want to make sure that you keep that. And there's several reasons why. I'm going to tell you as soon as I check it on my paper. Your belts will last for years, but they're going to need those adjustments. So loose belts can cause your compressor to pump more slowly. They can even make it sound like it's binding up at higher pressures. This is because you won't hear the belt slipping. And the motor sounds the same, but the pump will work slower and slower as the pressure rises. Does that make sense?
Does to me.
If it doesn't make sense to you, you just put something in the comments for the Compressor Guru and he will answer those questions for you. So folks, that's 5 different items that you can do to help your compressor run more efficiently, to make it be more trouble-free for you. We're trying to get you the longest life out of your air compressor. Nobody has any extra money to spend on things that they don't have to. But doing maintenance and keeping things running smoothly is going to save you money in the long run. Now, this was a simple list for you guys with small reciprocating piston air compressors from a 2 to a 25 horsepower. For those of you with helical screw compressors and rotary vane compressors, a lot of these same tips are going to apply. But you really need to get into your owner's manual and get the correct intervals for all of these things. But the basics are the basics, and this is what's going to help you in the long run. Because I was a school teacher, I would not be happy if I didn't review with you these steps before we end this episode. So 1, drain your tank daily. We talked about why. Nobody wants water in their air if they're using it, especially in a body shop, but you need to make sure that you drain that tank. It's going to give you the longest life for that tank. 2, service your compressor regularly. Change the intake filter. Don't just blow it out. Change it with a good quality compressor filter, not that one for the lawnmower. Keep it clean. Now, when I say keep it clean, I'm actually going to do something that the compressor guru does quite often, and we kind of thought this went with the whole episode here. In the Bible, in Matthew 23, it says, "You blind Pharisees, first wash the inside of the cup and the dish, and then the outside will become clean too." If you're doing everything correct on the inside of your compressor and you're cleaning things, a clean filter, fresh oil, cleaning the outside of it off, you're going to get the longest possible life out of it, just like we do here. Keep things clean. The 4th thing was changing the oil regularly. And the 5th is keep your belt tight. And that's going to make all the difference. So thank you for joining us for this episode of The Compressor Guru, featuring the camera wife that should be behind the camera. And I promise that's where I'm going to go back to after this episode. Thanks for joining us. Please like and subscribe and hit that bell or whatever it is. I don't understand all the YouTube stuff either, but you guys do. You follow it. Thanks for joining us. And in our next episode, I will take you back to The Compressor Guru. Have a great day, and God bless you all. Wait, oil, get it. Sorry. It's easier being behind the camera.
It's easier for me being in front of the camera.